Still on the search of that one true love? On the limbo in this crazy world of dating, marriage, relationships? Well, listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Relationship Podcast, your one-stop podcast for everything about relationships.
Thank you for tuning into the Gsmc Relationship Podcast, brought you by the Gsmc Podcast Network. I am your host, Gloriann. Welcome to another relationship podcast. I hope that you enjoyed your weekend and that your week is going good. In today's podcast, I'm going to focus on dealing with stress, either it's with your family, partner, and even in your workplace, the causes, the signs, and the effects of stress. We can all agree that stress can become a problem either personally or in your relationship or in your workplace. Stress can be physical, mental, or emotional. You can have stress because either you have a complicated job or you're under a lot of stress because of certain situations like family members in the hospital, or you're taking care of a family member, an event like a wedding, a birthday party. We all deal with stress at one point in our lives. Either we all deal with stress at one point in our lives. There is no denying that. It can be because of family problems, an illness, money problems, and as I said, because of your job. We always need to be aware of the warning signs because not all stress is bad. You can feel stress for a short time, and that's normal. Like, let's say you have a school project due, and you don't like talking in front of an audience, and then you have to present in class, so that gives you stress, and that's normal because you get nervous. Of course, you stress out, but once you get through with that, you're done with the next project. Let's go, done, easy peasy. There's another stress that you need to worry about, and it's when you have been in stress for a long time. Let's say you're taking care of your mom, or you have a job that requires a lot of attention. This can be a problem for your mental, physical, and emotional health. How can you be aware of if your health is in danger? Well, when you have problems sleeping, either you sleep too little or too much, tensions, headache, high blood pressure, you can't really focus on your job. Others can be feeling that you can't get anything done, anxiety, lack of motivation, and depression. Of course, stress is different for all of us, and it affects us, and it's everywhere as well. Either it can be you being busy at work, and then your kids come along and they start to ask you different things, or they say like, oh, mom, I need to buy this for school. This is for tomorrow. And then you have a project due tomorrow, like for your job. And you have more things to do. And your pot like gets getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So you don't really have time to do things. There are people that know how to handle stress. And when you see it, it's like, oh my God, they know what they're doing. And then there are others that really don't know what they're doing or don't know how to handle the stress, and it's all a mess. Stress can cause you to have panic and anxiety attacks. As we know, stress can be a problem, and it all depends on how you respond to it. Having stress can make you smoke, drink alcohol, gamble, use drugs, spend too much money. It's things that you would do to escape your reality, but in reality, it's going to cause you more problems. Spending money in all of these things, as I just mentioned, can make you have money problems, which leads to more stress. The fact of facing so much stress without taking a break, and it starts to become overwhelming. And if you're overworked, it can cause more stress as well. I'm going to read now what in the article of WebMD that was reviewed by Jennifer Robinson, MD, on December 10, 2017, and it says, stress also becomes harmful when people use alcohol, tobacco, or drugs to try to relieve their stress. Unfortunately, instead of relieving the stress and returning the body to a relaxed state, this substance tend to keep the body in stressed state and cause more problems. Considering the followings: 75% of 90% of all doctors' offices are for stress-related alignments and complaints. Stress can play a part in problems such as headache, high blood pressure, heart problems, diabetes, skin condition, asthma, arthritis, depression, and anxiety. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, declares stress as a hazard of the workplace. Stress costs American industry more than $300 billion annually. The lifetime prevalence of an emotional disorder is more than 50%, often due to a chronic untreated stress reaction. Of course, I'm saying all of this because we need to be aware of stress and the signs that stress can cause us, just like the effects that can cause. I'm saying this because we need to be aware of the signs and the effects that stress will cause in our lives, just like in our future and in our personal with our families. As I said, we all need to be aware. Personally, I'm gonna say that me dealing with stress has been an adventure. Of course, my stress has become a problem because of the fact that I don't know how to manage my stress. So, of course, right now, I want to move out. I want to, be independent. I want to have my own thing. And the fact of not having enough money or not making enough money at work can be stressful because of the fact that I have a plan, but to make that plan work, I need money. And of course, not having money, it becomes a stressful situation because then I have to save up. But let's say like if something happens to my car or something happens, I have to pay for something that I wasn't really expecting to pay, then it's like, okay, how am I going to save more money, or how am I going to do this? And then of course, I have a full-time job now, getting a second job will be a little bit even more stressful because due to the fact that I don't make enough money. And of course, you start to think about everything that you want to do and how you can't really get it or how you can't really control things, especially now with COVID, with a global pandemic going on. It's not really easy to find another job, or if it is to find another job, then you have to you need to divide yourself, or you need to clone yourself basically into to then do the other job as well. In my family, I can say that not a lot of people can deal with stress. In my group of friends, I can say that not a lot of us know how to deal with stress. We, of course, were in our late 20s when we were younger, and let's say when we were in college, we had a complicated test, or we did something, whatever reason, like we had a complicated test, or we were having a complicated class we didn't understand, and of course it's like, oh, it's been a stressful class, let's go to drink, or hey, it's been a stressful day, let's go drinking. I can say that when I was younger, I use drinking, as a coping mechanism. I went out and drank. Or I could say that when I was going through a breakup, and my coping mechanism, I can say that I was just going to the gym. I was saying to my friends, hey, let's go to the gym. Hey, let's do this, let's do that. Of course, it's been complicated. Having stress can obviously change you in a big way because it makes you act like somebody that you're not, and if you don't know how to manage it, you can change completely and not be yourself. That's why a lot of the things that when a lot of people are stressed, that's why they either go out to drink or they try to different coping mechanisms. Some are healthy, some are not healthy. Like me with my friends going out every time we had a stressful day or a stressful exam or a stressful class. And of course that stress was in a class in a semester. It's 6 months. So of course we had that stress for 6 months, and 6 months is a long way. It's a long time. But of course, again, it was the way that I use my coping mechanisms. I have a friend that when she is stressed out, because she does have a complicated job, when she's stressed, at least in college, she had a complicated job. And when she was stressed out, she went to the gym or she went to the beach, distract herself from all the negativity in her work. And let's say that she had to go to work at 9 a.m. She woke up at 6 in the morning, went to the gym, did her exercise, was an hour there, then went to the beach for a little while, be there, smell fresh air, try to go into the water, then go to her house, get ready, go to work. And of course, that's what she did when she had a stressful day, or when she knew that she was going to have a stressful day. Sometimes if she didn't have time to go to the gym in the morning time, then she went to the gym either in her lunch break or went to the gym when she got out of work, so she can relieve, where she can take out that stress. Because of course, once she got home, she wanted to be in a stress-free environment, because she didn't want her work to affect her relationship with her parents, or of course she wasn't living with her partner at the time, but she didn't want to, if she knew that she was going to affect her partner, she didn't want to be in a bad mood or be, stressing out for something at work. And I can say that when I was studying architecture, it was really stressful as well, because all of my classes were just stressful. I didn't have a class that I could just sit down and take a break. It was everything, either doing this, drawing that, it was just different things. And I can say that time where I was studying architecture, I was not being myself. I didn't know how to manage my stress. I was always either working too hard and saying yes to everything. And of course, I didn't see my family, and I was getting into my own little bubble and more into, not my own little bubble, but in that hole, digging myself deeper and deeper and deeper in that hole. And at one point, I started to notice that, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm all alone. I don't like this. Because of course, if you're going to study a major that needs a lot of attention, you have to be aware of the fact that you're not going to see your family. You're not going to see your friends. You don't have time for a social life. You don't have time to do anything, basically. It's more about getting this done and moving on to the next project. That's architecture. And of course, my friends as well, every time they invited me to something, it was like, Gloriann, but you're always studying, or Gloriann, you always have a project. And let's say in the college that I was, it was all the classes were every 3 months. So it was a trimester university. Being a trimester university, I was 2 weeks free. And in those 2 weeks, I was either sleeping a lot and just getting ready for my next classes for the next semester. And I really couldn't see my friends, because my friends were in another university where it was a semester university. And then when I was free, they were in midterms or they were in finals, and it was really complicated to have a balance and to do my things, and then my friends seeing me and seeing my friends and having a social life. And of course, I had my friends in the university, but as well, it was every time we were stressed and it wasn't really the best thing. And then at that point, when I knew that I was in this hole, really deep into the hole, I decided to change majors and change university, but because it was just a lot for me. First of all, the money, and then second, of course, being away and not having time for my family and friends. And I can say that I'm really close with a couple of my family members, and just not being there for Christmas or not being able to see them in important events because either I was doing a project or I was doing something else, it was affecting me really bad mentally. And of course, as I said, we all need to be aware of the stress in our lives because it can cost us a lot. I know that we want to be independent and do our own thing and, be in our own little world so our family can be proud of us. But when we need help, we need to ask for help, because for whatever reason, we don't want people to help us, or we don't want them to think that we're weak, when in reality, we need help at some point in our lives. We just need to learn how to manage our stress and look for help by a professional. And if you can't, then try to get a support. And of course, with that, up next, I'll be talking about how to manage stress in the workplace.
The Gsmc Sex Podcast is a show that examines all aspects of sexuality, from physical to emotional to spiritual. Join our hosts as they discuss age-old questions, common misconceptions, and the latest topics surrounding sex. They'll tackle topics about sexuality from the complicated to the hilarious and everything in between. Gsmc Sex Podcast is your show for all of your questions about sex, even some you might not have thought of yet. Download the Gsmc Sex Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you can find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back. I've been talking about stress, the sign, and the causes of having stress. I am now going to talk about how to manage your stress in the workplace. You can have stress because of your partner or your family members. Having stress can be damaging for some relationships. We can all become stressed either because you lost your job, or you lost a family member, maybe you're having financial issues, or you're just going through a problem with your partner or with your boss, your parents, whatever the reasons, we can have stress. Of course, there's the good kind of stress and there's the bad kind. The good kind is, as I said, a school project or planning a birthday party for you or your family members, that it's a little time that you have the stress. Then there's the bad kind, whereas that you're under a lot of pressure, either at your job because you're facing a big challenge or a big change, like a new promotion or a new job, or a project that just needs to be perfect so you can get the promotion that you want. It's all different things. Other reasons are worrying about something like the health of a family member. Let's say your grandparents or your grandfather is in the hospital, so that gives you a lot of stress because you don't know if they're going to get out of the hospital or not. Not having that control over a situation, it could be stressful as well. Just like having responsibilities that you find overwhelming. They gave you a promotion, and this promotion, like in this new job, they are expecting a certain type of behavior, or they expect a lot from you, and that could be really overwhelming. Let's start by saying that you're dealing with a lot of stress at work, because you either can't cope with the demands of your job because they're understaffed and their lack of communication, then you don't receive the whole information. Let's say that there's a lot of people that are in control at your work, and then of course there's a lot of people that are in control, and then everybody, somebody says this, the other person says that, so you receive the information wrong, or they're always mixing what your work is, and they expect you to do the job of two people. Let's say you're a manager in a restaurant, and then they tell you that you have to be the hostess as well, answering the phones, taking care of the customers, presenting the customers, taking the customers to their tables. And then if there's a problem with a customer, a server or one of your employees calls you like, hey, there's this problem, can you talk to a table? But then there's somebody at the door as well, or the phone's ringing and you can't really do both of the jobs. And anyways, the point is that you can deal with the demands. Whatever the reason, it can cause you a lot of stress, and it can make you believe that you can't do the job. If they're making you do two jobs, you have to talk to your manager, or you have to talk to your boss and say, hey, you have to hire somebody else because I can't do this. For my mental health, I need to stick to one thing. This is not in my job description. Of course, you have to say it respectfully because you don't want to lose your job. And I know it's hard because sometimes the boss thinks that you're capable of doing things, but at the same thing, they don't know because they really don't know what your job is. Another thing that can cause you stress, is the lack of experience in the job, your age. Maybe you're working in a marketing agency, and of course you see a lot of young people, and let's say you're in your 50s or in your 40s, and it can become a problem if you have a disability. And it's all of these things that may affect you even more. Of course, the stress that gets over you won't be able to do your job the right way, especially if you go through those roller coasters emotions where you're like happy, okay, I can do this, and then at the middle of the project or in the middle of the situation, you start to think, okay, and you start to think negative. Let's be honest, you can't control your work environment. Either you think you did a project wrong, or you didn't make the deadline. You start to think that you're going to get fired, or as I said, the lack of employees makes you even more stressed. Anyways, you need to learn how to manage this type of stress. You can always talk to someone close, like a coworker or a manager even. Having a support system can help you deal with this negativity in the workplace. You just need to focus on your physical health. Focusing on your health is not only important outside of work, but inside as well. You need to have a healthy diet and exercise. Eating healthier can cause you to make smarter decisions and be more focused and energized at work. Try to stay away from sugar. I know that this is impossible, especially let's say if you work at a restaurant that there's dessert all the time and you're just getting anxious because something's not going your way, or a table's complaining, or something's taking forever. You start to eat these sweets. I know that it can make you feel good, but it can make your symptoms of being anxious worse. Avoid smoking. This can make you feel more anxious, and avoid drinking alcohol as well, because when alcohol and smoking it becomes an addiction, and of course not having that addiction, you can become anxious or nervous, or like you just need it. You may think that alcohol will reduce your stress, especially when you get out of work, but it won't. It can affect your mood and become anxious as well, because as I said, it starts to become an addiction. It becomes to start a problem. Trying to improve your sleep can help you to reduce the stress, because having a better sleep can help you be more productive at work, and your problem solving skills are more active. try making a bed schedule. Yes, like a little kid, when your parents just put you to sleep at 8 or 7:30. Setting up a sleeping schedule can really help you. They say that turning off screens for an hour before bed can help you as well, because of course you're not really getting distracted. You're just letting your brain think about things and relax itself. Before going to bed, avoid stressful situations like catching up on work, or try doing something or talking something important with your partner in the bed. Try doing something more relaxing like reading a book or listening to music. I know that it will be difficult at first because we're used to, especially now, when we go to bed, having our phone next to us because we charge it next to us, or we watch TV because you can sleep, because it makes you sleep. Whatever the reason, you just need to relax yourself. Anyway, another thing that you could do is to reduce stress is to prioritize your time. Start by creating a balanced schedule between work and your social life or your personal life. When working, try to take regular breaks like, walking 5 minutes, or just standing up, stretching, doing some exercises for like 5 minutes, and then sit down again and start working and continue working. Or be away from your work or your desk in the lunchtime, because that can make you not think about work as well, so you can recharge and get that stressed out. One of my friends from work, she goes to the gym in her lunchtime. It helps her during the day. And I have another friend at work that she just goes home because she lives close by to our workplace. So she just goes home, plays with her cats, see her kids, and just, stays relaxed and comes back like a new person, like nothing happened. Establish boundaries. If you're at home or on vacation or it's the weekends, don't look at your work email or answer any calls work related. I know that it could be a bit difficult because let's say you're a manager of a hotel, or you are, you're doing this important project for a mall, or you're a constructor and something happens in the work field. I understand that it's not that easy, but this can help you enjoy your time with yourself and with your family members. So it can reduce the stress. So once you come back to work, you're, with a positive attitude and you can do your job better. Don't overcommit yourself. Having too much on your plate can cause a lot of stress, and it becomes a problem for your health. Remember that your job is important, but being healthy is important as well. You need to stay healthy to still do your job and to work better in it. As well, that you can prioritize tasks, do what's more important and get it over early. You can break your projects into small steps. I understand that in some companies this is not really possible because it's just too much at little time, but at least try at least to find somebody that could help you in this. And lastly, try to break the bad habit that adds to your work, like setting unrealistic goals and thinking negatively at work, and even avoid negative people in your life. I'll be honest, I know that all of this is not easy to do. I don't even do it, but okay, what I mean is like I start doing it and I don't really commit to it, of course, because I'm used to something, and I do spend a lot of time just seeing social media, and the fact that you just have to commit to it. Of course, when I exercised, past tense, when I exercised and I tried to work on my health, it did help me a lot in my personal life, with my social life, in my work life. And it was something that made me relax a lot, and I had a lot positive attitude as well. It's your decision, obviously, what to do, because of course we all have our problems and our schedules are not the same. So some people may have time because they don't have kids, they don't have a busy work schedule. Others don't because, again, they have kids or they have a busy work schedule. And you just need to prevent a burnout. If you don't know what a burnout is, it's just an exhaustion caused by stress. You may feel that every day is a bad day. You don't care about your work, your personal life, because it's just too much energy. You feel really overwhelmed almost every day, and you just feel like you're not making a difference. You even start to doubt yourself and feel helpless, just like you separate yourself from everybody. And when I mean everybody, your partner, your best friend, even your kids. And you take your frustration on others. The difference between a burnout and stress is that stress, you can imagine that if you do something, then you think that you have everything under control, then you feel better. But with a burnout, it's the complete opposite. You think it's not enough what you're doing and you feel pretty empty. Like you're just all dried up from dealing with life situations, and people don't even see when they are burnt out. Of course, that's why you just need to see the signs and see what is it that you're doing, and just, sit down in your bed or in chair and just think like, what I'm doing, is it making me happy? What is it that I'm feeling this way? Of course, you have friends that care about you. They will tell you like, hey, is there something wrong? Is there something, your attitude has been changing? This is the things that people start to notice once you're stressed or overwhelmed with stress and even have a burnout. With that, up next, I'll be talking about coping with your stress and giving you tips to deal with stress as well.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back. I've been talking about stress and its causes, signs, and stress at work. Now I'm going to talk about how to manage stress and tips on how to deal with it as well. We all know that stress comes when you're under a lot of pressure, and there's the good stress and bad stress. And bad stress, just like different things, can make you feel stress, like dealing with a problem that you have never had before, or people from your past. They can get you stressed, as well as work, family, the amount of pressure that you receive. Let's say that you're the oldest child, or the first kid, and of course your parents, they pressure you a lot in doing things perfect because you're a role model, and that pressure about doing everything perfect and, getting married and doing things the right way, that kind of pressure can bring you stress. And anyway, the point is that the amount of stress that you receive, it can be unhealthy. We all get stress. It really doesn't matter what situation you're in. If you're getting married, having kids, money problems, work problems, being the oldest, being, people expecting too much from you, whatever it is, we all get it because it's something that we are not used to. And if we are, we do not know how to manage it. Having stress can cause you to have anxiety, depression, and other things. To be honest, I think that stress and anxiety, they even go hand to hand. It's like being in a relation. They're always in a relationship because you start to think that things are not going to go your way. And so you start to get anxious. Or let's say if you're a smoker, you go take a cigarette because you're stressed and you think that's going to make it all better. And it really doesn't, because cigarettes are a type of coping mechanism that can become an addiction. And so anyways, you get anxious. And to control your stress and your anxiety, you can do different types of things. I've talked about this in different podcasts. You can do exercise. Exercise helps you to control your anxiety and your stress, even your depression. They say that exercise is the most important thing to fight stress and anxiety, because exercise lowers your body's stress hormones. It also helps release endorphin, a chemical that improves your mood, plus it helps you sleep better. Of course, when you exercise, you are more confident, you see yourself in the mirror and you're like seeing the changes and you're like, bam, hey, look at this sexy person walking through, which is a positive thing because you start to think positive, you have a better attitude toward things, and you have a better mental health as well. Plus you lose weight and you start to get fit. And again, once you start to see yourself in the mirror, you're like, bam, or in the photos, it's like, yes, I'm rocking this. You can do, if you want to start doing exercise, you can do something small like walking or jogging, because I understand that some people, because of their age or a condition, they can't really do like hardcore exercises. And just as well, you can go to the gym, you can go swimming, dancing, and even yoga. Yoga can help you reduce your stress because it lowers the stress hormones as well, and the blood pressure. Another thing that you can take is supplements like omega-3, green tea, and lemon balm. They can help you reduce your stress and be calm, just like using essential oils. Try cutting down in drinking coffee. Coffee, it can increase your anxiety because it turns into an addiction as well as cigarettes. I know that a lot of people are not going to like that and are not going to do that because caffeine just, they get up, they start their day. But caffeine sometimes is not the best thing for your body. I know this is going to sound funny, but writing things down can reduce your stress and anxiety because you're focusing on you and in the positive things, just like you're letting out all the anger and all the stress that you have. I remember that when I was little, I did this a lot. I wrote things down, like how I was feeling and, starting to think positive. Because then I took a lighter and just burned my whole paper. My parents were pretty pissed off every time I did that because it's like, Gloriann, you can't play with fire. You're a little girl. Anyway, this one that I'm going to say is the most important for me. Spending time with friends and family. They can help you get through hard times and stressful times. I understand that because of this global pandemic, that's not really possible. You can always call them. You can always see them in a video call. It's different types of things that you can do because I understand that now it's a difficult time, especially it's more of a stressful time because you honestly don't know what you can and can't do. And not being able to see your friends face to face or your family members face to face, it adds more to your stress. Another thing, plus having a laugh with them can be a good thing, and it can be and it could be good for you because you start to relieve that tension that you had either from work or from a problem that you had. Plus, having strong ties can lower your risk of anxiety as well because, again, family and friends are always trying to help you, and you try to find humor in your daily life as well. Either you can be watching TV or watching a movie or being just silly with one of your friends or, being with a funny friend. I know that this is going to sound funny as well. Spend time with your pet. Pets are always so happy to see you and they love spending time with you, and they can be a great mood booster. Trust me, having a dog, at least me, I'm a dog lover, and I can say that having a dog, I don't have a dog right, let me rephrase that. I don't have a dog right now here living in Florida, but when I lived in Puerto Rico, I had I had two dogs, and they were the best thing ever because every time I had a bad day at work or I was just fighting with my mom, blah, blah, I just went out and played with them and just, spend time with them and take pictures. And it was just a really relaxing moment. This one here, the one that I'm going to say now, I can say that it's the hardest for me and it's hard for my friends as well. And I can say that I can do this all the time, especially doing something that I like. Try to avoid procrastination. Try to stay on top of your priorities and make time for them. You can listen to, let's try to make time for them. I understand that sometimes it's hard because you want to get distracted or you're not really mentally able to deal with that at that point. But you just need to get it done because if you leave it at last minute, then you're gonna be running around and having anxiety and having a panic attack and all this type of things, which I know that we have all been through that. Another thing that you can do is that you can listen to smooth music because it is very relaxing, and it activates that relaxing effect on your body. On your body, just like taking deep breath and mindfulness can help you with your stress and your anxiety because again it activates the relaxation response. All of this reduces your stress, your anxiety, and even your depression. As I said, they will make you improve in your personal life, in your work life. It's having a balance of things. If you know that you can do something, try getting help. As I said earlier, I know that you want to be a superhero and you want to do everything alone, but in reality, everybody needs help and there's nothing bad to ask for it. The other thing that I want to say is that you do your best. You're never going to get to perfection. I understand that some people are perfectionists and they want to do everything as they are thinking in their head. But in reality, that can cause you so much stress that it can even ruin your relationship, your personal relationships or your work relationships. You can be happy with the work that you did. I understand that sometimes you don't feel that you tried your best, but just think positive and say, hey, in the next one, I'll do my best. Because you do try to do your best at work or in your house or in your personal life or in your friendships. Accept that you can't control everything and try to distract yourself. I have this friend at work. I work in customer service, and of course, when we have a lot of clients, she gets really overwhelmed in the fact that she starts to curse out, she starts yelling at people. And once you try to help her, she goes like, I don't need your help, leave me alone, or I don't need your help, like stop it, or I can do it, just stop it. And you're like, the other day I remember that we had the discussion because she's like, I don't need your help, please leave me alone. I told her, I looked at her, I turned around and I looked at her, you're not 25 anymore, honey, you need help. You can't do all of this alone, and you can't do this alone. Stop being a superwoman and let me help you, because this is what I am here for. We're a team, and this is what team does. Teamwork. I remember her face. She opened her eyes so big, and at the end of the night, when everything was more calm, she went to me and she, of course, said to me, I'm so sorry that I yelled at you. I'm so sorry that I was cursing and that I always do this, but thank you so much for helping me. I do appreciate it. And I understand that I need to manage better my stress. Of course, this coworker, she's much older than me. And the fact that she thinks that she can do everything, she really needs to see herself and say, okay, I do need help sometimes. I am not that 15-year-old girl or that 20-year-old girl that did everything alone and I was the superhero or the superwoman. Me, how I deal with stress at work, as I said, I work in customer service, and people that have work in customer service, it can be stressful because you have all type of customers. You have the customers that understand you. You have the customers that always complain. You have the customers that just treat you like you're not a human being. Anyway, the point is that my work, it could be really stressful. And of course, when I'm stressful, me personally, I just say to everybody at work, just so you know, I'm feeling that it's going to be a stressful day. Do not talk to me. If you talk to me and I yelled at you or I tell you or I sound like I was being mean, I am not. I don't know how to manage my stress. Please just leave me alone. Of course, I'm trying to learn how to manage my own stress at work because it's not my coworker's fault that I'm feeling like that. There's other coworkers. I have this coworker that he just helps me a lot, especially when he knows that I'm running around. He's like, Gloriann, what do you need? Or he goes, if I'm going to a table, he already got the menu. He already got everything, just helping me out. Again, customer service is just stressful. We all know that. And I can say that the difference between me dealing with stress here in Florida and in Puerto Rico. In Puerto Rico, I can say that I managed it better. I don't know if it's because of my age right now. I don't know. It's because sometimes working so long in customer service, you start to just understand customers, or you just get customers getting your nerves. I don't know what it is. But in Puerto Rico, I can say that I manage stress better, as well that I can say that where I work now, we're understaffed. So there's a lot of things that we all have to do. And in Puerto Rico, we had like different girls just, doing the same work. And maybe it was that. I don't know what it was, but I wasn't that stressed out. I have this friend that how she deals with stress, she literally turns her phone off. She just starts to work on her work. She starts to work and she does everything what she needs to do. When she doesn't know what to do, she calls her boss, or she, calls a coworker and says, hey, I need help in this. Can you help me? I have this other friend that she was working full time, plus she was starting to do her master's, and she had so much stress because of her work plus doing the master's that she just quit. She said that she wasn't going to do her master's anymore. And of course, at the time, she had a boyfriend. And I think that she didn't have her priorities straight. Because of course, she had a full-time job. She's doing good money. And she has her partner that he's doing good money as well. So the fact of her thinking that she really didn't need her master's, it was a stress that she didn't really need. But this is not the first time that my friend, every time that she finds something stressful, she just quits or she just doesn't do it anymore. Some people do that, something's too stressful for them. It's out of their comfort zone. They just, I'm not doing this anymore. And that could be something, but at the same time, I don't recommend it. Because you're always going to be anxious, either if it's studying for a class for your master's, or just a simple thing like, just doing a little project, a school project, it can cause you stress and be anxious. We all deal with stress and anxiety in different ways. You're going to be anxious, and it's always a good idea to get professional help when you're feeling overwhelmed, and try to talk to someone, and even find someone that can support you with your own stress. Maybe it could be your partner, maybe it could be a friend. It's always a good idea to have a gym partner because they can motivate you, and even plus they won't let you skip going to the gym or breaking your diet. Try focusing on your health and in others as well. If you know that your friend or a best friend or a family member like a cousin or your mom is dealing with stress or has depression or anxiety, try to be there for them. Try to help them, or try to tell them like, hey, I did this helped me. Let's try. You try. Let's see if it works for you as well. During stressful times, people will start using drugs, alcohol, or anything that can numb their stress for a little while. Force yourself to eat healthy, stay away from alcohol for a little while, and even ask a friend to do it with you. Like, hey, let's do this for a month. You're going to see the difference, and how your body and mind respond to it is going to be really good. We need to take control of our mental health and stay positive in everything. And that negativity around us, like toxic people, a toxic environment, and toxic food, we have to say goodbye to them. I understand this is going to be difficult because I don't know why we just like toxicity. Anyways, we have to say goodbye to them and think about our future and what we want. Up next, I'll be talking about being a caring person and how it can affect your relationships.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The Gsmc America Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the Gsmc America Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back. And so finally, to end today's podcast, I'll be talking about how being a caring person can affect your relationships. Right now in the world, and this is my personal opinion, I think that a lot of people have a lack of empathy. Maybe I think this because the people around me, or because how crazy the world has gotten. I honestly don't know. The meaning of empathy is the ability of understanding and sharing feelings of another person. Having empathy can be a really good quality to have, because you're caring for others, and you try to take a walk in their own shoes. The thing with having empathy is that you become a people pleaser sometimes, and you can become a people pleaser sometimes, and that could be a problem, because being a people pleaser is sacrificing your own needs for others, and that could be a mistake. You do this because you don't want any type of rejection, and that can be toxic or not. Sometimes we are people pleasers in a small level and other people's are in a high level. You want to put aside your traumas, your childhood traumas aside to fix someone else's traumas, so they can feel love and and you think that they're gonna love you back if you do that for them. But the thing is that they start taking advantage of you, and that's where the problems start. Especially in your relationships, you struggle to put your feelings first, and doing that can cause you to feel unfulfilled, and it's because you're not receiving what you're given. Of course, in a relationship, it should be 50-50, and if your partner is not really doing anything to make you happy, you're always the one who's giving and giving and giving and doing everything, then that's not really a fair relationship. So, okay, what I'm trying to say is that being a caring person can make you a people pleaser. And being a people pleaser is basically having empathy for others, but not for you. And in a relationship, this can be a problem. As I said, you need to sit down and think to yourself, is this healthy for me and for my relationship? Because you're always going to give and give and give, and people are just going to keep taking and never caring for your needs. And of course, you don't want to talk to somebody about your emotions because you don't want conflict, and you want people to be happy with you, make it feel easier for everybody and for yourself as well, because being a people pleaser you have a problem expressing yourself, and because again of your past traumas, you really can be emotional. Basically, let's say this example. Let's say that when you were little, you had a problem with somebody, or your parents, you wanted to express yourself in something that happened, and your parents just shut you down quickly, and this happened frequently. This can be a trauma, and of course, that's why you start to become a people pleaser, because once your parents said to you, I don't want to hear it, or hey, I don't want to know about this, you start to shut down yourself. As I said, your fear of rejection is there as well. Let's say that you're scared that your partner is going to leave you, and you try to do everything that you can so they don't break up with you. That makes you lose yourself as a human being, because of course, I understand that you have feelings for this person, but you have this fear of abandonment that you just try to give everything that you change completely for this person, that in reality it's not going to help you, and you're not going to be happy, because you're playing a part, like you're an actor. You're playing a part that you can't really, once they say cut, you can't really go back to your normal self, because they never say cut. Being a people pleaser, you want others to be nice to you because, well, you're nice to them. But this doesn't happen. You never know what kind of day other people have, and they can give you an attitude because either they are stressed out or something happened in their personal life that they can put aside. And an example of this is when you're working with somebody, or one of your friends don't answer the phone or something, you start to overthink and say, oh my God, what did I do to them? I can say that for me personally, let's say that I'm texting one of my friends, and then out of nowhere stops texting me for like an hour or two. I start to overthink and say, did I say something wrong, or did I did something wrong? And of course, I then text them back the next day, hey, are you mad at me because you really you never answer me? And they're like, and they will say to me like, no, I was just having a busy day, or no, I just forgot. And it's those type of things that being a people pleaser makes you overthink and say to yourself, oh my God, I did something wrong, when really you didn't. People have their own problems. Going back to the topic, being a people pleaser is wanting to fit in. You do things for others so they can accept you, either in their friend group or at work. We can say an example of this is when you're in high school, or like when you're in school, elementary school, and you want to be part of the cool kids, and you start doing things for the cool kid, or when you have a crush on a boy or on a girl and they need help in something like in a school project, and you just do everything for them, and then they take advantage of you, and you did all of that just because you wanted to just fit in or you want them to like you, but in reality they just used you. Your self-worth comes from validation. And I know this example is gonna sound a little bit stupid, but the fact of having likes on social media, you post something because you think that the more likes you have, the more people like you, and a better person you will feel. Like, let's say you posted a picture of helping kids somewhere, I don't know, and you get all these likes and you're like, oh my god, I'm a good person, or oh my god, people like me. Or you post a picture of just yourself and people start saying all this stuff like, oh my god, you look so beautiful, oh my god, like, can I be you, and all this type of thing that just makes you happy because you think that people are happy for you, and that validation makes you feel better about yourself. The lack of self-love, you're always ready to help people and be there for others, and you just forget about your feelings because you're trying to make others happy. You give advice to people, but you don't take that advice as well. That's something that I do a lot with my friends. It's totally normal. Anyway, it's hard for you to say no as well. And this is something really typical in people pleasers. You feel guilty if you don't say no to somebody because you think that they're gonna think that you don't want to help them, when in reality you just need to do something else. But you just need to learn how to create boundaries and know your limits, and basically just don't give a single care in the world. I understand that I've talked about this in other podcasts, but I just wanted to give you like a quick little resume to then go to the point of what I want to talk about. And it's about what I've seen in my friends being people pleasers as well. I have this friend that he recently broke up with his girlfriend because of the fact that he was doing everything for her and she wasn't really doing anything for him. And every time he tried to express his feelings, she changed the topic, or she just said like, oh, can we talk about this later because I have to do this or I have to do that. And for him, he just broke it up with her because he couldn't do this anymore. It was always about her and never about him. And of course, it was really hard for him at the beginning because he was telling me, like, obviously I didn't want to break up with her, but I felt that the relationship was just turning me into a toxic person. And I don't like being toxic. I don't like having toxic people around my life. And just being with her made me toxic. And of course, he decided to block her on social media. She blocked him because, this guy just broke up with me in the middle of nowhere, just without any explanation, which he did give her an explanation, but she just didn't understand why they were breaking up with her. And of course, she has this attitude that she's just the most beautiful person in the world and, nobody's gonna leave me, blah, blah. Her ego was just hurt because she thought that she was the one who was going to break up with him instead of him breaking up with her. Other friends that I have, they're in a relationship, and I can say that this person gives her everything. Just gives her everything, and now they're in a long distance relationship and she doesn't really know how to deal with things. And when we're hanging out or when we're doing something, she tries to be the center of attention because, of course, in her relationship, she's the center of the relationship, and she's the center of him. So when we're hanging out together, she tries to do things or she tries to say things that you're like, okay, what's happening here? And sometimes she just gets mad because we didn't give her the right attention, or for whatever reason, she just gets mad at us and doesn't talk to us for like 3 weeks. And we're like, okay, so what is this? And of course, I always feel bad, and I always text her and say like, hey, do you want to do something? Like, we don't have to, hang out with these people. Let's have a talk. Or I'm always the one who reaches out to her. My other friends, they don't really give... My other friends, they don't really care about it because they're like, oh, she's always like that. She's just being dramatic. And that's the way of how she gets things done, because that's how it works in her relationship. And of course, she's been in this relationship for a really long time. So she, again, doesn't know what to do. Again, she doesn't know what to do or how to act when she's around other people, because her boyfriend is the one that does everything for her and he's a people pleaser. Because I can say that when he's in town and we hang out all together, you see the way that this man treats this woman, that you're like, whoa, she needs something, he'll go buy it. There's something happen, he'll go fix it for her. She really doesn't have to lift a finger. And of course, being here all alone and being in this long distance relationship just doesn't help her emotionally and mentally. And of course, sometimes when we're even hanging out, she's like, oh, I'm always the one that has to listen to everybody's problem, but nobody listens to my problems. And it's like, girl, we always listen to your problems. It's totally different that you just are not the center of the attention right now. And that doesn't mean, it's like a little kid just trying to get everybody's attention. And you're like, oh, it's frustrating sometimes. I'll be honest with you. And of course, in my personal relationship, I know that I have talked about this in other relationships, but I can say that I'm a people pleaser, because for me, it's really hard to set boundaries either with my parents, my family members, or my friends. I can say that right now with my ex, it's something that it has been happening a lot. He writes me and I answer him, or, we're talking and he tells me to do this and I'll do it because I'm just pleasing him, when I do know that in reality, me doing all of this stuff will not, and we're not gonna get back together. I honestly don't know why I keep responding to his messages, because deep down I really do know that this is not going anywhere with him. Anyways, that's it for now. Thank you so much. Anyways, that's it for now. I hope that you enjoyed today's podcast. I understand that maybe it was a little bit boring because even me talking about this, I was in my head like, okay, why am I talking about this today? Anyways, the point is, there's topics that we need to talk about even though they're boring, and today was just this. I hope that you enjoyed today's podcast, as I said, and that you're staying safe. Thank you for listening to the GSMC Relationship Podcast, brought to you by the Gsmc Podcast Network. I would like to ask you to please remember to subscribe to the show and write a nice review. That really helps us. Also, if you can please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Relationship Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.